Now, if there's one thing in this world that I think we can all agree upon is that movies, they're pretty good, you know? I think that I am a big lover of movies. Sci-fi, action, fantasy, you name it. Not that one, but I'm a big fan. I love to watch a movie.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But to be honest with you, that doesn't really matter today because we're not going to be speaking about movies. I just thought I'd say that I don't like this movie. I just wanted to tell you that and let you know that in today's video, we are going to be discussing another form of media that I also like, which is documentaries. Now, I think in the last 2 years, because we've been locked indoors and not particularly because of anything that's happened in this world, just because, well, we weren't invited to any social gatherings, we've watched quite a few documentaries. Recently, I watched a documentary about squids that play certain games, and it was quite decent, despite people like James Charles, for some reason, not understanding the point of the show.
But for today's video, I really wanted to teach you guys how to do a super fun, easy Squid Game makeup for Halloween this year.
So when a YouTuber comes along with their little $1 million pocket of money and they make a documentary themselves, you could say that I am quite interested. I'm interested in thinking, for one, what's the documentary about? Is it about them being extremely rich? Probably. Is the documentary bad? Probably. But overall, is it entertaining? We'll get to that. Shane Dawson, the man, the moment, the myth, the legend, has returned. I should not call Shane Dawson a legend. There are some very questionable clips. Shane returned to the internet recently. I've been gone from the internet recently. I kind of needed to get away. Really a bit of a coincidence that I left and Shane came back, probably because I was quite terrified of the fact that Shane Dawson is yet again putting out a series which is most likely going to be extremely boring. And oh boy, was I right. I even reacted to this on a live stream and it wasn't that enjoyable. It was actually getting to something. It was actually getting to something. Why do I have the flu? Shane, your video's making me more ill. We were actually getting to something 25 minutes in. Now, I wasn't being possessed by a ghost there. I was just kind of surprised by the nature of this documentary because Shane returned with a documentary about the paranormal. Ghosts, things that spook you in the night, you know? James Charles turns up under your bed, you should call the police. A lot of people involving James Charles should probably call the police. A lot of people.
People live out here?
No, this is like out there.
Is that my name?
What the?
Oh my gosh, she's watching it!
We're gonna see something. I can feel it.
Shane, come on, please don't say that. Is it too late to back out?
Shane, what? Do you really think something bad's gonna happen? Well, I don't want to freak everyone out.
Be careful what you wish for, and to be honest with you, I completely agree with this rhetoric. I understand that Shane Dawson does have somewhat of a fraction of his audience remaining, but these people have been frequently praying for Shane Dawson to return, and alas he has, and I think this is very dangerous. I think we need to put these wishes aside, because we are inadvertently murdering people. This is leading to third-party murder by wishing for him to come back, because I almost died on a live stream watching this. Yeah, I can't, the camera died. I'm not laughing that hard, but my body is degrading watching this. So yes, please can we stop wishing for these things to happen, because I am going to end up passing out on a stream, and I don't think that will be good for me. But also, can we stop wishing for these documentaries to be made? Because I feel like at this point, society has come to a point of where we no longer need Shane Dawson documentaries. We have come to this point of realization that maybe they're not good. Maybe they're really bad. And so unbelievably boring. And you may be thinking, Fraser, how can it be that bad? Is it offensive? Is it gruesome? What's wrong with it? Are you nitpicking once again? Now, to be honest with you, I can understand that some of you may think that, oh, Shane Dawson's come back and Fraser's got to jump on this and, say Shane Dawson's this big bad boogeyman, and no, that's James Charles. But secondly, no, this documentary is bad. I'm not just saying it to be a rude, nasty man. I'm saying it because this is one of the most boring experiences I've ever had in my entire life. I have never watched a 3-part series which is so unbelievably dull where absolutely nothing happens. This equates to around over 2 hours, and I genuinely think I could have probably had more fun watching paint dry. I know that's a common phrase, but I'm not even using it to be an exaggerative bell end. I truly believe that this is one of the most pointless things I have ever experienced, and of course I am going to break down every single part of it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's first. So that means we're a third of the way there.
You see, this was my instantaneous reaction to this documentary on my second channel, iNabber Live, which you should subscribe to. The links are in the description. And yeah, I developed somewhat of an illness during this sitting, and I'm not sure if that's because of how boring this documentary is or how offensive it is. Because yes, there are also extremely offensive things in this documentary to do with Native American culture, which we will get into in this video. And when I say nothing happened in these documentaries, what I mean is to do with the actual topic of the 3-part series, paranormal activity, ghosts, all that spooky stuff. Nothing happens. All this series is, for the majority of it, is Shane Dawson sat around complaining about things and talking about how he was cancelled, and then going on to speak about offensive things, as I mentioned earlier, to do with Native American culture. And I'm going to be going over this in a 2-part series. Yes, we are going to be stealing Shane Dawson's formula, because I feel like I want to long this out as much as I can, because I've been gone away for around a month. But before we do that, I do just want to ask if you could subscribe and actually turn notifications on, because I have been gone away for a month. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 1 million subscribers. If you could comment, that would be wonderful. Comment balls down below and like this video. But yes, let's get in to this documentary. Now, the first part of this series is called The Haunting of Shane Dawson. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if the haunting part is to do with paranormal activity or to do with the 9000T channels that covered this series. Either way, they're both pretty scary. Now, going straight into it, the thing that particularly confuses me about this video is that it is actually a 30-minute house tour and then 10 minutes of Shane Dawson speaking about things that he's been called out for in the last few years. There's actually zero ghost-related content in this video, despite it being a 40-part video in a series which has been I guess, advertised around paranormal activity. It's just Shane Dawson basically complaining that he was cancelled.
In this house, we laugh a lot, we count our blessings, see, I can't even get through it, but it's really cute.
I still don't like it.
We say, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Don't worry, I'll get to that.
Oh gosh.
We make mistakes. Yes, we do. I'll get to that. We forgive quickly. How about you get to that?
I looked at TikTok and literally, like, I loved it for a week, and then I got canceled and I couldn't go on it anymore, because it was like, every time I'd swipe, it would be like, ba-da, and then I'd swipe up and it'd be like, Shane Dawson needs to game end himself, and I'm like, all right, well, I definitely feel ashamed and embarrassed and horrified over a lot of the stuff that started, old clips and stuff that started coming out when I got canceled and when I was getting canceled, like at the heat of it. I went through a weird time where I wanted to leave the internet. I didn't want to be a part of it. I felt like it ruined my life. I had made a lot of growth before I got canceled.
Now, despite there being a multitude of clips here, these aren't actually every single clip that Shane speaks about being cancelled in this video. I just wanted to show you a few of them, because to be honest with you, it's really strange to me that he has done an entire video just basically complaining that a lot of people unsubscribed from his YouTube channel. And some of his annoying fans may come along and say, well, you're allowed to speak about your own experiences on the internet. Fraser, you promote speaking about your mental health, and that's very true, but if I ever make a video where I'm advertising it as some paranormal documentary, where at the beginning of the video I play a trailer which is quite obviously meant to be spooky and lots of shaky camera, which I don't actually think is deliberate, I just think the cameraman's really bad, you'd expect some ghosts. You wouldn't expect me to say, hey guys, I lost subscribers because an old clip of me leaked of me acting sus around children. You wouldn't expect that. If you're watching Paranormal Activity 2, you wouldn't expect the main lead to suddenly start complaining that they got fired from there. I mean, Just not for the entire thing.
2,000 bodies remain buried there?
Yes, and they walk around there at night.
Oh my god, she's touching it! His wife killed and scalped there.
I feel like I'm watching a really bad rendition of Insidious right now. I mean, even the text font, I'm pretty sure is the same, or at least fairly similar. So, Shane, please get some originality, buddy. I know it's ironic coming from the 50,000th commentary channel on the internet, but I'm expecting something new here. You know, with the Conjuring series of where there was these two really good films and then they started making a load of bad prequel and sequel films? I feel like this is the YouTube version of that. But instead of being haunted by a ghost, Shane's being haunted by the tax man. He's a rich white dude that's moved to Colorado for tax reasons, in my opinion. It's not really spooky. It's just kind of, I mean, you're just doing what every other YouTuber did, you know? It's not that entertaining. It's boring. That's what it is. I can't put a funny joke here. It's just boring. And going back to it, I can understand why Shane would be bitter at the internet. I can. I know the criticism for him is extremely valid, and I am one of his biggest critics, but I can understand why he might be a little bit mad at a few people on the internet, because that's just a normal human emotion, but I just don't understand the necessity need to speak about all of these things. I understand that it's therapeutic for him, but to be honest with you, if I was Shane's PR officer, I would say, Shane, you've spoken about it enough, and they were really bad response, but you've at least spoken about it, and now you've got a fraction of your audience, and I don't think those others are going to come back anytime soon, so maybe just stick to the ghosts. Maybe just do that. But surely somebody critical of Shane thinks that Shane should address his mistakes. Sure, but it's not that. He's not addressing mistakes here. It's just, oh, I was cancelled on the internet. It's just, it's nothing to do with addressing things. It's just a terrible attempt of Shane victimizing himself.
That forced me to really not just push things away and really face everything head on and realize that that was me and that is me, but I can learn from it. And like, it also made me realize that I can't focus on what other people think of me. I can't control the way that people feel about me. I can't control how people react when I'm getting canceled. People in my life, like I can't control if they're scared for their own career, for their own thing. And, you know, I was very like, it was really hard, but I learned a lot. And I feel like I'm so happy it happened, so grateful that I got canceled.
Shane, you don't need to lie to us. You don't need to pretend that you loved being... Nobody is going to love having the entire internet turn on them, no matter if they did the worst crime possible. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience. And I don't know why you're portraying it as this. We don't want you to say you're grateful. You're so thankful for being cancelled. I'm sure if 2 years ago we went back before all of this and said, Shane, you're going to lose 5 million subscribers. You're going to get cancelled. You're going to lose monetization. You wouldn't say, oh yeah, I'd be really grateful for that. You don't need to lie, Shane. You don't need to do this. You could just say, yeah man, it sucked, but I don't think I'm that person anymore. I am growing and I am changing and learning every day. You know, I think that would be a much more natural approach that would make me think that this isn't a scripted video, but obviously it somewhat is. It is very unnatural. You're acting like it's this happy and fun thing, and you've even got this weird music playing in the background.
Because it really changed my life. It showed me what I care about. It showed me what matters. It showed me I don't need to be on YouTube all the time. I don't need to be stressed about what's next. I don't need to be trying to think of the next idea, the next whatever, to be happy. Like, I'm happy sitting in this weird dark living room with him, you know, watching candle reviews.
Look, man, we're not saying you can't do any of that shit. We're not saying that you can't feel that way. We didn't even say that beforehand, before everybody left your channel. We just thought those clips of you acting around children a little sus, majorly sus, weren't something that I vibe with. And, you know, I don't want to be a part of any of that. I want to be far away from that. Now, this goes on for basically the first 30 minutes of this episode. It's basically just Shane rambling about being cancelled for 30 minutes straight. And I actually do want to go further ahead and cover the terrible aspects of this horror series. Because yes, this is like fairly like middle ground fine for this series. It actually gets much worse in the second half. Like, somehow Shane just continues to make more and more people dislike him with how he covers extremely sensitive events, which I mentioned previously. And I know this is a little bit of a nitpick, but Shane seemingly doesn't have Andrew in any of these videos anymore or on the camera in general. And I'm not trying to be nasty, but it shows, man. I feel like this camera for the majority of this 3-part series isn't in focus properly for the entire thing, and it does just feel like somebody's recorded it on an iPhone 4GS. These series that Shane keeps putting out are getting increasingly worse, increasingly more boring, and increasingly lower in quality as Shane progresses into prioritizing watch time, because if you didn't know, a longer video on YouTube is probably going to do better in the algorithm because you can put more ads on the video that makes YouTube more money, and they're naturally going to promote that because money overall is what a company wants. And that's fine, but it's clear that it's affecting the quality in these series, because I feel like some of Shane's old videos were actually pretty decent in terms of videos, you know? I feel like I enjoyed some of the old content, but this is just really, really dull and really boring. I feel like I'm watching the behind the scenes rather than the actual video. And as I said earlier, there are no horror antics in this video. In fact, the horror antics come towards the end, and I'm just thinking, what was the point? What was the point of this?
Honestly, do you think we're gonna see anything? You heard that? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay. Okay. Wait, I'm so scared. What is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Why 100%?
Because that things follow me. Like, I guess you don't know that. Things follow me, Chris.
The way you said that was so scary.
And yeah, if you want to see a slightly out of focus camera shaking for 40 minutes straight because Shane Dawson was scared of a snail dragging its balls across the ground, allow me to introduce you to Haunted Theories with Shane Dawson. Now, this is definitely the worst video out of the 3. This is the shortest one as well. It's clear that Shane Dawson didn't actually have any content to put in this one, just like the previous one. So what he decided to do is, in these 34 minutes, make light of Native American culture in the name of spookiness. He takes horrible events in history and just, I guess, laughs about it and jokes about it in the name of Shane Dawson's entertaining documentary. And guys, we need to stop doing this. Like, white people, white folks, I'm gonna speak to you. I'm gonna give you some information from another white dude. We need to stop taking other people's culture and using it to scare other white people. We need to stop doing it. It's boring, it's offensive, and it's not even entertaining. It's just not. Like, there are some spooky things in white culture, I think. I mean, allow me to read you some. I mean, for one, seasoning, you know, it's something which I think a lot of white people are terrified by, but the main one which we could, you know, further investigate, i.e. a police investigation, is of course James Charles's basement. You know, it's something which all white people, and I think people which of all races and cultures could unify over, because nobody wants to go there. I mean nobody. Like, no one. Make the documentary about that, Shane, and maybe it'll be some redemption arc. Now, as I said earlier, this is the worst video out of the 3, and not because it's so painfully boring. I mean, that is one of the reasons, but also there is just such painful acting throughout this.
Wait, say that again?
Oh, I'm just reading reviews, and this person says, we'd seen an aspiration of a little girl along the bridge while we heard the drums.
Well, see, I mean, that's making a lot more sense, because if you're saying that a 14-year-old girl had passed, people are 12, and then people are seeing the figure of a girl, and we're under the bridge and hear what sounds like a young girl screaming.
It's really sad.
I love that you could just clearly see that it cuts because Shane most definitely forgot what he had to say in the script at that point. I mean, let's just give a round of applause in the comment section because this is just A-class dog shit acting. But yes, as you can see in this clip, the video is now very much playing into tragedy and the loss of life. And they are even planning on going to a certain area, not in this video, because, you know, we've got to get, you know, at least 2 videos out for some reason to boost us in the algorithm. But, you know, we've got to do that first before we actually get into the plot of the titles of this series. You know, it doesn't make any sense, but we've got to do that. And they, in this, are going to be speaking about a lot of history in a very bad way. Because the area they're planning to go to in the next video is an area where Native Americans used to reside and live peacefully until they were slaughtered by colonizers. It's truly a really tragic part of history. Obviously, everybody should know about this, and I highly recommend doing research on this rather than taking what Shane Dawson has to say about this part of history. But even then, how it's spoken about and how the event is portrayed is just so unbelievably disrespectful, especially considering Shane Dawson is majorly profiteering off this.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Haunting in Colorado.
So tonight's adventure
is one of the most famous thought to be paranormal spots in Colorado.
It's a really haunted place here in Colorado.
These stories almost give you chills.
We are at one of the most haunted locations.
Ghost Bridge, otherwise known as
the infamous Third Bridge.
Third Bridge.
Third Bridge is said to be haunted.
But anyway, this third bridge is it's apparently haunted.
Dude, slow down. What the frick is happening?
It's been haunted since around the 1860s, I think.
A site of a massacre.
It is said that people can see a woman walking in a white gown along the bridge.
Oh, it's dead. Like the massacre victims.
Yeah, this is an edit that Shane decided to make where he thought, oh, this could be really spooky. But as you can see, it's clearly not made in a good light. It's clearly, if anything, making a joke about the situation. And I think if you're going to make an entire series profiteering off these horrible events in history, surely you should be more respectful. Surely you should do more research, especially if it's not your culture. And some of his fans may say, oh, but he's not monetized this video. Bro, there are so many ways of profiteering on videos, even if they're not actually making any monetization. This video has 3 million views. That traction will lead to monetary gain in other areas, such as merchandise sale and follower gains. And I think that's pretty disgusting given how they have portrayed this. I mean, just look at this clip.
So back in the day, before all of these massive houses and schools and King Supers were built, this is where, well, not here, not where mom and dad live, this is like the suburb, but out there. So it's a little more rural. Every house has like 6-7 acres of land, so they're like far in between houses. You don't have phone service out there. It's very rural. So back in the 1860s, the Arapaho and the Cheyenne tribes lived there because they followed the herds of buffaloes there. So this is where they all peacefully resided. They were happy living their lives. They all had wife and kids. They would go off in the day, hunt their hunties, and go home. Then some governor who sucked, his name was Governor Evans, decided that he did not like these people being there. So, I feel like Kendall Ray right now.
I know, wow, you're so good at this.
That was the longest consecutive thing I've ever said.
Is there a script? Like, this is so good. I'm like freaking out.
There's like a teleprompter in my brain.
Did you call Kendall Ray for tips?
There are actually a lot of victims in this case.
No, but
she lives here, right?
Yeah, let's just laugh and joke in a video with 3 million views, which is designed to be respectful about a part of history where a bunch of innocent people were murdered by colonizers. And this wasn't a long time ago. This is an event which still affects people to this day. These are people who are the ancestors of current living people who are still very much affected by this part of history. But it just gets weirder and weirder when they start playing this upbeat, happy music and making jokes and laughing about this stuff.
There are actually a lot of victims in this case.
No, but
she lives here, right?
We should invite her. She probably knows all about it.
So this is where I don't know anything about it other than when I was in high school and trying to hook up with girls, we would take them there because there was no service, and when they get scared, they're more likely to like make out with us.
Why would you say that? Why? Now, Shane has been speaking about this event for 10 minutes now, and he even does this massive montage, which I am quickly going to play after this. But firstly, I need you to watch the montage. I need you to see that Shane Dawson has been speaking about this for the majority of this video. This is the prime topic of this video, designed to, I guess, spook a bunch of people. And just watch this clip, and then I'm going to show you why it gets even worse.
This is where our ancestors fell on November 29, 1864. Their flesh and their blood is a part of the soil.
700 U.S. soldiers charged.
Sherrington's troops came in and swept through the village.
Cheyenne Chief Black Kettle prominently flew a U.S. flag and a truce flag. They were ignored.
And isn't this area, well, I don't want to dox your family, but isn't this...
What?
Arapaho?
Another fun fact is this is located in Arapaho County, and Arapaho is the tribe that was there.
It's on the Arapaho-Elbert County line, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we live in Arapaho County, which is a massive county.
Yeah.
So it's all about this bridge where Native American people used to live, and these people were slaughtered by colonizers. And Shane has been explaining this, Shane has been speaking about this. I don't know how accurate Shane has been speaking about this because it's Shane Dawson. But then he puts this disclaimer. The actual location of Sand Creek Massacre was not at the Third Bridge. It was actually a couple hours away, but the location of Third Bridge is still where many of the victims considered their house. Our haunted adventure doesn't have anything to do with them, and we don't make light of what happened there. Pardon?
Decided that he did not like these people being there. So, I feel like Kendall Ray right now.
I know, wow, you're so good at this.
That was the longest consecutive thing I've ever said.
Is there a script? Like, this is so good. I'm like freaking out.
There's like a teleprompter in my brain.
Did you call Kendall Ray for tips?
There are actually a lot of victims in this case.
No, but
she lives here, right?
We should invite her.
You're very much making light of it. Even if you're this edgelord, which is like, oh, you can joke about anything. I think we can all admit, even if you're one of the nutjobs which is subscribed to Shane Dawson, I think we can all admit that they are very much making light of that event in history. If this has nothing to do with what you're investigating the bridge for, then why is this the majority of the video? Why is this the core subject of the video? I think you're making excuses here because you knew for a fact that people would get upset by this. You knew when you were editing this that people would get upset by this, rightfully so, because you are making light of a horrific thing which didn't even happen that long ago. I mean, actually, he realizes this halfway through the video.
It's really sad when you think about the fact that this Sand Creek Massacre, all these innocent people were murdered for literally no reason other than some white dude wanted to show that he was like big old man.
Well, is it bad that, like, is this disrespectful or bad karma? Because I'm just a big old white man that wants to show the creepy spookies.
I mean, it's genuinely quite embarrassing, and I know some people will say, well, you probably like paranormal stuff, well, you probably like true crime stuff, you know, and yes, I do when it's done at a respectful nature. I have always, not just with Shane Dawson, but I've always had this weird feeling whenever I watch a true crime or paranormal video where it's speaking about another culture or where it's speaking about a tragic event and they make extreme light of it. They're like, 1 second they're speaking about how somebody was horrifically murdered, and then it's, hey guys, this video is sponsored by Honey. It's so strange to me. So it's not just a Shane Dawson issue. I feel like it's just a respectful issue which has happened in all forms of media. Now, I do like these topics when they are covered by somebody that has actually done the research or somebody who isn't being disrespectful, you know? If Shane wanted to do research and actually spoke to people that know about this event correctly and 100% accurately, then I would probably be okay with it. But the fact of the matter is that he has got his future sister-in-law to be the one to provide the information, where she's quite clearly gone onto Wikipedia and done no other research. Now, some people may say, where's my evidence that there isn't enough research done to this? Personally, I feel like for a topic like this, it would be good to get an expert in. And as far as I know, I don't think that Morgan has any qualifications in this field of history. But also, it is pretty obvious that they have just gone on Wikipedia and taken everything off there. And it very much is just them gossiping about this horrific event that happened in history. This entire second part is literally just Shane and Morgan and Ryland sat on a sofa just chatting shit. That's all it is. They're just chatting shit for like 34 minutes. And I get it's called the theories of shit, and it doesn't really mean that they're going to go out and explore things. But given the fact that this was advertised with such spooky footage, and at the beginning of the first video there was spooky footage with the trailer to the video you're now watching, and then in the second one you'd expect there to be something, but no, it's just them for an hour in both videos chatting shit, and I'm just like, have I just wasted 60 minutes of my life and now I'm breaking it down and I'm wasting my life even more? Yes! The reason I think Shane has done this, as I said earlier, is because Shane simply wanted to get some long-form content out there to get back into the algorithm, hence why these videos are all 30 minutes and above. But it's clear with this second one, he didn't really have many remaining ideas, hence it's the shorter of the three. It's a bunch of terrible acting, terrible camera work. I mean, how hard is it to put your camera in focus? It's not difficult, but also, why is this recording on an iPhone? It feels like it is. I don't know if it is, but it certainly feels like it is. And if it isn't, Shane, I think you need to get a new cameraman, buddy, or at least give Andrew a pay rise to get him to come back, because it's not good. It's not good. To come to some form of conclusion with these two episodes, nothing has happened, as I keep saying. I almost feel like I'm wasting everyone's time here. The next episode is an hour long, and I am going to leave that for the next part, which is out in my next video, because I know you'll have better things to do rather than me break down 3 specific videos. I know we all need a breather, and I completely understand that. I actually have enjoyed some ghost hunting content from Shane in the past, particularly because it involved Garrett Watts. Maybe that's the only reason. But the ghost hunting videos on the ships, they were fun, you know, they were respectful, and I don't think they made a mockery of anybody's culture, and I think that's fine. But these are just so weird and so wrong, and to pretend that you're not trying to scare people using this horrific event, it's just such utter bollocks, because you've made it the entire point of the video. So to conclude this was the bore of Shane Dawson. So yeah, that is the end of the video. The next part is going to be the final part, and I genuinely don't know how I'm going to get through it, but if you could, please drop a like on this video. Please get it to 40,000 likes, because I understand that a lot of Shane fans will dislike this because they're now back on the bandwagon, and please comment beans, balls, cheese down below, any of the 3, because, you know, I need interaction, and I need this to get into the algorithm. Share this video, and subscribe, and turn notifications on, and subscribe to the second channel. I got it all out there. Thank you so much for coming along. I apologize for taking a 3-week break. I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest with you. Thanks so much for coming along, people. My social medias are iNabber69 at Twitter, iNabber on Instagram. It's all there in the description. And I will see you in a probably even longer video on Wednesday. Peace out, people, and have a cracking day. Please, for the love of God, don't put yourself through these 3 videos, because I have suffered. Bye-bye.